All right, we got a good one here today and great price to performance ratio on this. This is the Asus Vivobook S14, all new for 2024 as we round out 2024. This is running the brand new Lunar Lake, but this is the first one that I was able to test with the Core Ultra 5 226V, or the Series 2 here. Now, we looked at the Core Ultra 7 228V, and we got great performance for the efficiency and everything else that it brings. But again, we saw a little bit of a step back in terms of multi-core, but in the real world usage, you're getting better battery life, more efficiency, and really good performance in terms of everyday tasks, so not an issue. So this is more of the same on that, but I would recommend this to 90% of you. Most of you don't need to go with the Core Ultra 7. In fact, I've been so impressed with this in terms of both single, multi-core, everyday tasks with this. The battery life on this has been fantastic. It's got a 75 watt-hour battery, some of the best battery life I've seen to date. Pretty amazing. It's got a great keyboard with 1.7 millimeters of key travel, those chiclet style keys. It's got a blue backlight. You could probably tell there. I'll show you more in a little bit. It's got a nice touchpad, very responsive. It's a precision touchpad. Build quality is really good. Minimal screen flex and wobble. This has been really great. You could even put the screen back 180 degrees. So it's a really nice offering here from Asus, especially the price, which, by the way, is on sale right now at Best Buy with $300 off. So now, instead of being $950, it's now $650. So this is a really good deal here. So I don't think you want to miss this, especially as the holidays are coming up. And this is a steal in my book. I don't know how long that $300 sale will last on Best Buy in terms of that $650 overall price with that $300 off. So you may want to act fast. But the bottom line is, we're going to get into it, why I think this is one of the best price to performance ratio laptops here. Now, I did get a look at it back in Berlin for IFA, and I couldn't wait to get it in. And boy, I'm glad it did, because not only is it a great price, but you're getting a lot of premium features. Now, the OLED display here has got some really thin bezels. It can get as bright as 600 nits in terms of HDR, in terms of peak brightness. I measured over 400 nits standard dynamic range, non-touch for those wondering. But if you need all the extra bells and whistles, like a high refresh rate, higher res display, then you want to look at the ZenBook. I'll leave a link to my Asus ZenBook S14 video. That's running the Core Ultra 7 258 or 256V, I don't remember, but I'll leave a link to it in the description below. But this really checks all the boxes pretty much across the board. Let's get into why I think this is a really great choice here for 2024 as we head into 2025. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Asus Vivobook S14, all new for 2024. Coming up. Okay, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency, full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Asus. I'm not being sponsored by Asus. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Asus is not getting copy approval. That means you're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit was provided by Asus, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, I wanted to bring up price first here, because look at this. Check it out over at Best Buy, $649.99. That's $300 off the initial asking price of $950, and that's amazing. So really what I'm seeing here with this Core Ultra 5 is really good performance. Again, this is Series 2, so this is going to be the one I would recommend for a lot of people, for most people indeed. I don't know if you necessarily need to go with the Core Ultra 7 258V. This Core Ultra 5 226V is very capable and showing really great performance here. We'll get into the numbers in a little bit, but this of course is a great price. So for those that are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information and where you can buy one. Now, according to the specs, this comes in two different colors, misty blue and what I have here, neutral black. Now, the neutral black is the one that is available at Best Buy, and of course, this one will show the most amount of fingerprints. The one thing I wish it didn't do, but it is not the worst I've ever seen when it comes to fingerprints, but you will be carrying a cleaning cloth to wipe it down every now and then. So just keep that in mind. But that being said, once it's clean, this is a beautiful looking laptop. And I love the fact that you're getting an all-metal design here at this very affordable price, so you're not skimping on build quality here. The overall build and construction is very good. Okay, let's get a measurement of the weight with just the unit alone, 1.301 kilograms, and that would be 2 pounds, 13.9 ounces. That's pretty light, so very travel friendly here. And if you want to add the power charger, you're looking at 1.519 kilograms, and that of course would be 3 pounds, 5.6 ounces. So not bad in terms of a total travel weight. Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is an HDMI 2.1 TMDS port, two Thunderbolt 4 ports. They are full function, supporting data, charge, display out, a micro SD card reader, and a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. Moving over to the right side, two USB Type-A ports, and I would say overall an excellent port selection here. Blend of the legacy with the USB-A and, of course, with the modern ports. One little nitpick, I'd like to see those two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports split up, one on each side. Unfortunately, that's not the case here, but that's just a little nitpick. Overall, very good port selection here. All right, let's check out the internals here. And as you can see, the first thing you'll notice is a 75 watt-hour battery. We'll get into the battery life in a little bit. Spoiler alert here, it's really good. We'll get into that. And of course, the two fans for cooling. We'll talk about thermal performance later on as well. But as far as what's internally and upgradable here, as far as the SSD, it's an M.2 2280, fully upgradable and serviceable by the user. So if you want more storage, you can definitely expand it out yourself. And as you can see from these excellent reads and writes, the 512 gigabyte included with my unit has some very good fast storage here. So that's what we like to see. Certainly fast enough what you need this laptop to do. Now, as far as the memory, this has 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM running at the very fast 8533 mega transfers per second. Now, since this is a Lunar Lake laptop, the RAM, or the memory, I should say, is integrated on the system on a chip here. So not upgradable by the user. So just keep that in mind. But for most people, I think 16 gigabytes of RAM is certainly doable here. So no issue on that regard. I would like 32 gigabytes. I think outside North America, maybe you can get it. Maybe you can get it here. I'll have to look into that. But standard 16 is what you get here. Now, as far as the Wi-Fi, good to see Wi-Fi 7 here, Bluetooth 5.4. Now, that combo card is soldered into the motherboard, not upgradable by the user, but it's good to see Wi-Fi 7, both the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi working flawlessly. No issues with either one. All right, let's talk about the display, and I think this is the star of the show for one very good reason. You're getting an OLED display at a very good price here, and yes, you may say, well, it's not a 2.8K or 3K display, it's not the high refresh rate display, but it is an OLED display, and the colors here are very accurate. It's got excellent coverage of the color gamut, great for content creation in Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, color grading, stuff like that, and the fact that you get the deep blacks, the very high contrast, the really great vibrant colors that OLED brings, I think this brings a lot to the table. So it's an excellent display. And again, you're not breaking the bank here. Now, 1920 by 1200 is a full HD plus resolution. It's a 16:10 aspect ratio, which I think is the way to go here in 2024 as we enter 2025. And one thing you'll have to note about an OLED display is a couple of things. One is screen burn-in down the road. That might be an issue, although Asus OLED Care that they bake into the settings, into the system here, certainly helps prevent that. And I've not had any issues with screen burn-in with any of my Asus OLED displays with those laptops in the last few years. So they've done a good job in terms of preventing burn-in. And the other thing is PWM. Now, I measured PWM here, or screen flickering. I know some people are sensitive to that, but it is detectable below about 30% or so screen brightness. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. That being said, I think watching movies, especially in HDR on this really vibrant, really colorful panel, I think is really good. And the fact that you're getting the 100% DCI-P3 wide color gamut coverage here makes it even better, especially at this price point. Now, one thing it is, it's not a touch display, it's a non-touch. So of course, if you want touch, you're going to have to step up to the higher end model. Of course, that's in the ZenBook line, the S14 that I looked at. I'll leave a link to those that didn't see my review in the description below. That's going to cost you more money. This really does come in at a great price, and they're giving you a great panel at that. All right, we're looking at a 1080p camera here. It is 30 frames per second. You also are looking at an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. Works reasonably well. Actually worked really well. It also has a shutter switch. So above the camera, you can slide it over for more security and privacy. That is always welcome. What do you think about the audio quality? What do you think about the video quality? Let me know in the comments section below. Now, of course, this is an AI PC, so you do get all the studio effects, background blur, auto framing, all that stuff. It is here. And then, of course, that's handled by the NPU. But again, let me know what you think about the camera in the comments section below. All right, let's check out the keyboard here, and it's a good one. I really like these chiclet style keys from Asus in the past, especially on the ZenBook line here, on the Vivobook line. It's also very good, especially when you need to type out a long document, email, and the like. It's very comfortable. The throw is good. The key travel is good. Overall, good tactility. I'm very happy with the keyboard. Now, it does have a blue backlight on it. That's going to allow you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit cabin, say in an airplane. So that's going to be good. And having a blue backlight, a little bit different than you normally get. And of course, it gives it a little bit of color. So that is a little bit of extra there. I like it, and it worked out pretty well. And for those wondering, that's 1.7 millimeters of key travel. No wonder I really like this keyboard. Good key travel there. Now, the touchpad is a precision touchpad. I don't think it's glass, but I could be wrong. But it does feel good in terms of scrolling and doing all the gestures. And it does have those gesture controls for volume and brightness. So you don't need to go into the settings. You can just use the outer edges of the touchpad for that. That's worked out pretty well. And overall, nicely sized touchpad relative to this device in terms of its size. So pretty good in that regard. No issues in terms of the touchpad. All right, let's get into performance, and this is my first look at the Intel Core Ultra 5 226V. Remember, on that Asus ZenBook S14 we looked at, that had the Core Ultra 7 258V, and as you can see, not a huge difference in terms of performance, both single and multi-core, and the difference in price makes this even more attractive, at least in my opinion, over something like that, although that does give you the extra little bells and whistles that you'd want, high refresh rate, touch display, all that stuff. That's the difference there, but again, you are paying a bigger premium in terms of price. Now, when you look at Cinebench 2024, this definitely has very good single and multi-core performance. But of course, with Lunar Lake in general, doesn't matter which one you go with, you're seeing less multi-core because they've reduced the number of cores year over year. So that makes sense, right? No hyper-threading as well. That also attributes to that. But in real-world testing and usage like Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, using all those things didn't have any slowdowns or hiccups, and you won't notice the difference. I promise you that. Where you might notice the difference is a multi-core like video editing and stuff like that, but it does have improved graphics, okay? So we're looking at the Intel Arc 130V graphics with 8 gigabytes of dedicated memory to that, or shared memory, I guess. But the bottom line is the graphics are improved over some of the things we've seen in the previous Arc graphics and, of course, Iris Xe. So not much of a difference. I didn't see a big difference between 130V and 140V, to be honest with you. And I think for this price, you're getting a lot of graphical integrated performance here, which is something to really look at and say, wow, that's pretty good. So gaming on this, of course, like any other ultra portable laptop, you have to take it with a certain angle in terms of know what your limits are here. Go with reasonable, realistic expectations, although these graphics are improved, so you can do some gaming, just play with some of the settings on some of the more popular titles. You'll get some playable frame rates. So that has been working out pretty well. Light 4K video editing is possible with these Intel Arc graphics, but if you need to do more intensive stuff in DaVinci Resolve and Premiere Pro, I would go with something with a discrete GPU, but the occasional edit here and there certainly can be handled on this. So graphics have been improved here year over year. And when I ran the TimeSpy stress test, it got a passing score of 99%, meaning it detected virtually no thermal throttling under load. So great frame rate stability here with this laptop when you're pushing it. And also, as far as the surface temperatures are concerned, never getting overly hot. And that's been the theme I've been seeing with Lunar Lake in general, whether it be the Core Ultra 7 258V, 256V, or the Core Ultra 5 here, 226V. Look at the keyboard, not very hot, and this is when you're taxing it. You're pushing all the cores here, you're pushing maximum load. On the other side, maybe 47, 48 degrees Celsius at most. But again, this is an unusual circumstance where you're pushing this to the limit. When you're doing everyday tasks, everything stayed relatively cool. And it also stayed very quiet. Very silent laptop for doing everyday tasks when it comes to Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, watching a movie. And when you put it in the full speed mode and you're really pushing this to the limit, highest I saw maybe 50 decibels, but I would say average around 45 to 47 decibels, depending on what you're doing. So not very loud, not very hot. That's the name of the game here with Lunar Lake. All right, this has a 75 watt-hour battery, and check out some of these numbers that I got on the PC Mark 10 suite of tests here. So with the PC Mark 10 Modern Office test, it got 23 hours, 47 minutes, nearly 24 hours. Pretty freaking amazing in that test. So real-world usage, that's a mixed usage test. You're looking at well over 12 to 15 hours, depending on what you're doing. You're getting nearly 21 hours of video playback. I got 20 hours, 39 minutes. That's really amazing. So that that is pretty good. And then even gaming, you're getting over 2 hours. So what we're seeing with Lunar Lake is not only a more efficient laptop, we're seeing better battery life on top of that. And the fact that you don't get the high refresh rate here, the fact that you have a 1920 by 1200 full HD plus display as opposed to a 2.8K or 3K display, that's going to also aid in the battery life here. And that's why we're seeing off the charts battery numbers with this unit. And it also supports fast charging with the supplied 65-watt USB Type-C power charger. All right, let's talk audio here. And I'm going to compare the Asus to the Acer, which is the Swift 14 AI. I'll have a separate video on that. I'll leave a link. If I already released it, I'll leave a link in the description below. If not, it's coming soon. And that is the Swift 14 AI running the Ryzen processor. Okay, so that's been pretty good. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, this Asus, which is the Vivobook S14, has Dolby Atmos, Harman Kardon-tuned speakers. And I think the overall sound is better. It gets louder, more bass, richer, fuller than the Acer. But of course, I want you to be the judge. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, let's give them a listen. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Asus Vivobook S14 here for 2024 running the Lunar Lake processor with that Core Ultra 5 Series 2, the 226V? And I gotta say, super impressed, especially the price to performance ratio. Consider the fact that this is on sale right now at Best Buy for $650. That's $300 off the initial asking price. You're getting an OLED display. You're getting a really good build here. You're getting a nice keyboard, good touchpad, great I/O in terms of the ports, great expansion in terms of that M.2 2280 SSD, and it's got fast reads and writes. You got, so storage expansion is definitely there. You got a really nice full HD IR webcam, so if you want to log in with face recognition, you can. You got some great audio here, really punches above its weight class in terms of the audio, so really good in that regard. You get Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4, so you get the latest and greatest in terms of networking communication, and it really has an overall great feel to it. Now, one thing I will say is that neutral black does collect a lot of fingerprints, and I would say there is no really weakness in this, especially if you can get this on sale. Again, I'll leave links for everything in the description below, and I think it is an absolute steal at $650, $300 off. So I think that is the one to look at here, and I like what Asus is doing here, blending really premium features, a really nice design, good materials used here at an affordable price, and I think that is a winning combination, especially here as we round out 2024, especially when Black Friday's coming and the holidays are here. So this is one you don't want to sleep on. You want to look at the Asus Vivobook S14 here for 2024. I highly recommend it.